if you want to pull someone into a completely alien world, you don't start with a dragon breathing fire.
Right. No, definitely not.
You don't drop them into the middle of a chaotic battlefield or like hit them over the head with the central conflict on page 1.
It would just be overwhelming.
Exactly. Instead, you start with a really boring guy in a boring tie.
Yeah.
Seeing a tabby cat reading a map.
Which is such a great image.
Right. It's like sitting in a quiet room and suddenly noticing a single drop of water falling upward.
Oh, that's a good way to put it.
It's not loud, but it's impossible to ignore. So welcome to today's deep dive, where we're going to look at exactly how that feeling is engineered.
Yeah, the mechanics of it.
Right. Today, we're exploring the mechanics of mystery, and we're using, well, one of the most famous test cases in modern storytelling excerpts from J.K. Rowling's Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone.
A classic.
It is. And our mission today is to, well, analyze if the rhythm of the narrative successfully transmits that initial climate of mystery.
Which is a huge question.
It really is. We're going to break down how the text carefully drip feeds information to hook you, the listener, without, overwhelming your brain's capacity to process it all. Okay, let's unpack this.
It's the perfect test case, honestly, because when people think of this world, they immediately default to the spectacle.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Wands, flying broomsticks.
Exactly. Massive magical battles. But the source material purposefully doesn't begin anywhere near that.
No, it doesn't.
And before we even look at the text, we need to establish what we mean by narrative rhythm.
Right. Good point.
When we use that term, we're simply talking about the frequency of new information.
Like how fast the author is handing you the puzzle pieces.
Precisely. Is the author giving you one weird anomaly every 10 pages? Or like 5 massive world-altering rules in a single paragraph?
Right, which would be exhausting.
Totally. That speed dictates your heart rate as a reader. And to analyze how well this text transmits its initial mystery, we really have to look at how aggressively it controls that frequency in the very first chapter.
Which starts with just nothing.
Right. It starts with the absolute, unapologetic absence of magic.
Yeah, Rowling hits you immediately with the Dursleys' immense pride in their absolute normality.
Thank you very much.
Exactly. We start with Vernon Dursley having a profoundly mundane Tuesday, but then the drip feed begins.
The water falling upward.
Yes. And the pacing of these anomalies is incredibly deliberate. First, it's just a large tawny owl fluttering past the window.
Which is weird, but, not impossible.
Right, it's a single easily dismissed visual. But then, as he backs out of his driveway, he sees the cat reading the street sign for Privet Drive.
What's fascinating here is how the narrative rhythm of the mystery relies entirely on Vernon's denial.
Totally.
The mystery isn't simply that strange things are happening in the world. The tension that actually hooks you is the mounting evidence of this hidden world colliding with a man's frantic attempts to rationalize it all away.
Right, like he sees strangely dressed people in cloaks and immediately assumes it's a stupid new fashion trend.
Or some charity stunt.
Right. But, okay, I see that, and the contrast is funny, but I have to push back a little on the strategy here.
Okay, go for it.
Doesn't starting out with a boring drill executive sitting in traffic risk, like losing the reader before the actual premise of the book even kicks in?
It's a valid question.
I mean, if you're picking up a fantasy book, aren't you risking alienating your audience by making them slog through a chapter of a guy getting mad at a news report about shooting stars in Kent?
Well, it's a calculated risk, absolutely.
Yeah.
But if we look at the mechanics of why it works, that pacing is exactly what makes the magical world feel earned.
Earned? How so?
It creates a baseline. By grounding you in a world of traffic jams, boring ties, and bakery donuts.
The important stuff.
Exactly. By doing that, the sudden appearance of real magic feels disruptive.
Right.
Rather than just expected fantasy fluff.
Oh, I see.
Think about the end of that first chapter when Albus Dumbledore arrives on Privet Drive.
Right, with the put-outer.
Yeah, he uses the put-outer to extinguish the street lamps one by one until the street is pitch black.
It's a great scene.
It is. And because the narrative rhythm forced you to spend 20 pages in the mundane, concrete reality of the Dursleys, Dumbledore feels genuinely powerful.
Oh, wow. Yeah. The rhythm of the mundane is the necessary friction that sets up the awe of the magical.
Exactly.
Okay, that makes sense. It clarifies the strategy. It's creating a stark contrast to make the anomalies pop.
Yes.
But that brings us to the next massive shift in the narrative rhythm, and it's another huge structural risk.
The time jump.
Yeah. The text Jumps forward 10 years. Harry is now living in the cupboard under the stairs.
Right.
Doesn't skipping a whole decade shatter the exact immersion we just spent a chapter building? Like, we just got used to this baseline reality, and suddenly we skip 10 years of it.
It would break immersion if the text filled those 10 years with exposition.
Oh, true.
But instead, it uses the time jump to create an information vacuum. Harry has no idea who he is.
He's totally in the dark.
Literally and figuratively. And because he is in the dark, the rhythm of the mystery fundamentally changes. Well, in the first chapter, the underlying question for the reader was, what is happening to the normal world?
Right.
Now the question becomes, who is this boy? And the frequency of the anomalies physically accelerates.
Oh, right. Harry is experiencing these sudden, uncontrollable bursts of phenomena.
Like magically ending up on the roof of the school kitchens.
Or the incredible scene at the zoo where the glass front of the Boa Constrictor's tank just vanishes.
Yes.
The mystery is no longer a slow burn happening to people in cloaks across town. It is demanding to be acknowledged because it's literally inside the protagonist.
Precisely. And notice how the rhythm shifts from a slow drip to an escalating countdown.
Oh, the letters.
The pacing becomes incredibly frantic with the arrival of the Hogwarts letters. It starts methodically, right? One letter, thick yellowish parchment, emerald green ink.
And Vernon confiscates it?
Yeah, but the text uses the letters as a physical metric of accelerating rhythm. One letter becomes 3.
Which becomes 12.
Which becomes 24, hidden inside rolled up eggs delivered by the milkman.
It's like trying to hold a beach ball underwater.
Oh, that's a brilliant analogy.
Yeah, like the narrative tension in this sequence isn't actually coming from the magic itself. It's coming from Vernon's physical exertion trying to suppress it.
Exactly.
As a reader, you aren't just waiting to see the beach ball pop up to the surface. You're waiting for Vernon's arms to give out.
Yes.
The harder he pushes the mystery, down nailing the mail slot shut, boarding up the cracks, the more forcefully it erupts.
That is the perfect way to visualize the rhythm here. Vernon completely fractures his own reality, trying to maintain normality.
Right. He loses his mind.
He does. He forces the family into the car and drives them halfway across the country to a miserable, freezing shack on a rock in the sea.
Just to escape the mail.
Right. And the pacing forces the reader into a state of breathlessness. You're just waiting for the dam to break.
And the sensory details the text uses to pace this specific climax are brilliant because they ground that breathlessness.
Yeah, the atmosphere is so thick.
You know, you are in this freezing shack, the storm is raging outside, and Harry is lying on the floor watching the lighted dial of Dudley's watch tick down to his 11th birthday.
The ticking clock.
It's a literal countdown. 10 seconds, 9, 3, 2, 1. And then, boom!
The whole shack shivers.
Someone is knocking on the door. It's an incredible release of built-up narrative tension.
It is a phenomenal release valve. Hagrid breaks down the door and delivers the truth. He tells Harry what he is.
You're a wizard, Harry.
Exactly. Now, structurally, this is a dangerous moment for the author.
Why dangerous?
Because in a lesser narrative, this is where the momentum would flatline. The central secret is out. The tension of the letters is resolved.
Oh, right. The mystery is over.
Right. But what this text does so effectively is use the reveal as a pivot point, not an end point.
Here's where it gets really interesting. Because once Hagrid tells Harry that magic is real, he's forced to explain why Harry is famous in this new world.
No.
The narrative rhythm immediately shifts gears. We transition from a mystery of discovery, simply figuring out that magic exists, to a mystery of investigation.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, the way the text handles this transition is a masterclass in the rhythm of exposition.
Okay, tell me more.
Well, Hagrid has to delete a massive amount of lore. He has to explain a 10-year-old murder, the political climate of the wizarding world, and how a baby survived a killing curse.
That's a lot for one conversation.
Exactly. If Hagrid just rattled this off like he was reading an encyclopedia entry, the reader's eyes would glaze over. It would completely kill the pacing.
Right.
But the text makes the exposition painful. Hagrid physically struggles to even say the name Voldemort. He hesitates.
He tells Harry, I can't tell you everything. It's a great mystery, parts of it.
Yes.
It's such a deliberate tease. The rhythm gives you, the reader, just enough historical data to satisfy your immediate burning questions about the Dursleys and Harry's parents, but it intentionally leaves massive, glaring gaps in the timeline.
Exactly. It's an intentional throttling of information. And new mysteries are seeded almost immediately to replace the old ones.
Like what?
Well, when Hagrid takes Harry to Diagon Alley, the pacing slows down dramatically. The text spends pages describing cauldrons, robes, and owls to let the reader absorb the visual wonder of the world.
Which is needed after that crazy shack sequence.
Right, but beneath that slow, wondrous pacing, it is quietly dropping highly calculated breadcrumbs. Hagrid picks up a grubby little package from Gringotts Vault 713.
Oh, yeah.
And shortly after, the text casually drops a news article stating Gringotts was broken into, specifically targeting that exact vault.
And the breadcrumbs aren't just objects, right? They're behaviors.
What do you mean?
Like, we meet the defense against the dark arts teacher, Professor Quirrell, in the pub. He is trembling, stuttering, and seems terrified of his own subject. The text is laying down these puzzle pieces at a very specific, methodical pace.
Which brings us to the final and most complex phase of this narrative rhythm, the Hogwarts puzzle box.
The puzzle box.
Yeah. Once the characters arrive at the castle, the entire structure of the storytelling changes. The pacing settles into a steady, investigative beat that spans an entire academic year.
Honestly, reading this section feels like walking through an incredibly elaborate escape room.
That's a great way to look at it.
Thanks. And assuming you know the plot, the troll in the dungeon, the three-headed dog on the third floor, the dragon egg, what's fascinating isn't just that these things happen, but how they are spaced out.
That spacing is everything. The text uses the school year as a giant metronome.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, the changing seasons, the Christmas holidays, the impending final exams, they provide a rigid, predictable structure.
And against that predictable metronome, the anomalies stand out sharply.
Precisely. The narrative forces the trio into research phases. When they find Fluffy standing on the trap door, the pacing doesn't immediately rush them into a battle.
No, it doesn't.
Instead, Hagrid accidentally drops the name Nicholas Flamel, and the rhythm shifts to months of poring over library books.
That's a great point. The text creates cerebral tension rather than action-oriented tension. It forces the reader's brain to slow down and engage analytically.
Yes.
And the way it frames the suspects is pure misdirection, relying on that slow pace. Like, it points the finger so aggressively at Severus Snape.
Oh, constantly.
He's hostile. He has a mangled, bloody leg. After the troll attack, he seemed threatening Quirrell. Because the clues are paced out over months, the reader has time to sit with their assumptions and build a completely logical but entirely wrong theory alongside the characters.
And we see that cerebral tension peak during the climax. The sequence going down the trap door is the ultimate culmination of this rhythmic control.
Oh, definitely.
Think about the obstacles protecting the Sorcerer's Stone. The narrative actively strips away the chaotic, fast-paced magic of the earlier chapters. First, they face the Devil's Snare, which requires them to literally stop moving and relax to survive.
Right.
Then they're forced to play a life-size game of wizard chess.
Which is brilliant because chess is inherently slow, strategic, and methodical. It forces a cognitive shift right before the final confrontation. It's not a frenetic wand duel. It's a grueling test of patience and sacrifice.
Precisely. And then Hermione faces the potions puzzle. 7 bottles, no magic allowed, just pure cold logic to figure out which is poison and which will let them move forward.
Right.
The narrative rhythm here is doing something highly specific. It's isolating Harry. It strips away his allies, it strips away reliance on magical reflexes, and it forces a state of deep analytical vulnerability.
And that leads right into the final rhythmic beat. Harry walks into the last chamber, fully expecting to confront Snape. But the text pulls the rug out.
Oh.
It isn't Snape. It's the stuttering, terrified Professor Quirrell.
Yes.
Because the text spent months rhythmically pointing the finger at Snape's bleeding leg and menacing demeanor, the reveal works flawlessly. The pacing of the clues was completely fair, but the framing was pure misdirection.
The climax is a puzzle of motivation, not power. The final obstacle is the Mirror of Erased. Quirrell stands before it, able to see himself presenting the stone to his master, but unable to physically acquire it.
Why?
Because the mirror's puzzle is based entirely on intent. Harry looks into the glass, and because his only desire is to find the stone to keep it safe, not to use it, the mirror drops the stone into his pocket.
Wow.
The resolution of the story isn't a massive explosion. It's the quiet solving of an incredibly intricate psychological puzzle.
So we've broken down how this book manages its pacing, from the mundane friction of Privet Drive to the methodical escape room of Hogwarts. But why does the pacing of a fantasy novel matter to you, the listener, in your actual life?
That's the real question.
Right, because this deep dive highlights exactly how information is best digested by the human brain. We can call this the friction-action investigation loop.
It's a highly applicable psychological framework.
Yeah.
If you overwhelm someone with all the facts, the massive big picture, or the ultimate solution all at once, the brain rejects it.
It just shuts down.
Yeah. It's too much raw data without context.
Exactly. Think about the last time you tried to pitch a new initiative at work, or tried to teach someone a complex new skill. If you just dump the data on slide 1, you lose them.
Absolutely.
But what if you treat your audience like Harry? You start with a normal scenario to establish a baseline. Then you introduce one weird anomaly, one piece of data that doesn't fit to create friction.
Give them a tabby cat reading a map.
Yes. You let them ask questions. Then you hand them the rest of the data as a puzzle to solve. Learning and discovery are most engaging, most sticky, when they are structured as a gradual unraveling of a mystery.
It fundamentally changes the dynamic from passive reception to active participation.
Right.
The narrative rhythm we've analyzed transitions perfectly through those stages.
Yeah.
It starts with the mundane denial of the Dursleys, creating that initial friction.
Yep.
Then it accelerates into the frantic physical action of the Hogwarts letters, forcing the protagonist to engage. And finally, it settles into the structured, clue-gathering investigation of the castle itself.
So what does this all mean?
Well, it means it is a masterful control of the flow of information that keeps the reader's cognitive wheels turning at the exact RPM the author desires.
It gives you just enough information to feel incredibly smart when you figure a piece of the puzzle out, but keeps enough hidden in the shadows to make you desperately want to turn the page. It's a brilliant balancing act.
It really is. And this raises an important question based on the very end of the source material.
Oh, what's that?
When Harry wakes up in the hospital wing after the confrontation, Dumbledore sits down and reveals a few lingering details.
Right, tying up loose ends.
Exactly. He admits he was the one who gave Harry the invisibility cloak. He casually mentions that he and Nicholas Flamel have decided it's best to simply destroy the Sorcerer's Stone.
Wait.
The text strongly implies that Dumbledore knew exactly what was happening in his school all along.
Wait. If Dumbledore knew Quirrell was corrupted, and if Dumbledore was the one who set up the Mirror of Erased precisely so only someone pure of heart could retrieve the stone?
Exactly. At least that's what the lingering thought.
Okay.
Was the entire pacing of this mystery. The carefully dropped clues, the specific traps protecting the stone, the highly timed encounters in the forest. Actually, a meticulously engineered rhythm designed by Dumbledore himself.
Oh my God.
Was he controlling the flow of information not just to protect the stone, but to explicitly test and train Harry?
Oh, wow. So that slow, deliberate trickle of things being slightly off wasn't just a narrative device for the reader. It might have been a literal breadcrumb trail laid by the headmaster himself.
It's very possible.
The pacing was the test. That's definitely something to think about the next time you feel like you're following in a path someone else designed, whether in a book, at work, or just in life.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.